So we are live. I didn't make that go without the music. My bad. Hey, cuz.
Hey guys, I'm just wondering if I should go live on my YouTube or if it does it automatically. That's what I was
I believe it does because on mine, yep, it's live.
go live on my YouTube or if it does it automatically. That's what I was.
I believe it does. Because yeah, we're live on YouTube now.
Okay, good.
Yeah, live. So I just gotta make sure it's
Oh,
like share. So you're live on YouTube. So if you post, because you shared yours to YouTube, right?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Well,
So
it is wonderful to be live again tonight.
I
I missed you
know.
last week.
I know. We did how about I did the youth edition last
I
week.
looked at it. It
Uh,
was good. Yeah, I looked at it.
I was like, wait, did I push the live button? This will happen when you don't have no engineers behind you. But I need to start getting my engineer behind self together and push those buttons when I'm supposed to be pushing them.
Listen, I'm excited that I don't have to do any of the engineer stuff because it wouldn't even happen. I'd be like, okay, I'm going to push my camera on my phone. I'm going to record it and upload it later.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna
That's
do.
what I'll be able to do.
One, two, three, four. So So this topic today, oh my goodness, it's a good one. It's a good one. And it's funny that we had chosen this topic, right? Of
The topic is
habits and dealing with the habits we create for ourselves that's keeping us from getting to ourselves, our best
wait,
selves.
that's
That's
the
how I say it.
I was excited that you chose that one when you looked at the topics in my book because we wanted to go ahead and
Mm.
talk about the book. A lot of people are getting very excited about this book, by the way. So thank you for wanting to highlight something in it because I think the ladies do need a little peep of it because it actually goes live on the 26th, but they can pre-order
Okay.
right now. Matter of fact, I got a copy of it.
Ooh, go ahead. Go
So rip
ahead.
the bandage off and heal for real. And so you chose chapter two.
Yes. Yes.
What drew you to chapter two? And I'll read what chapter two is.
Go ahead.
True Serum, True Serum Talks, Facing the Mirror, Confronting Your Habits. So when you read through the topics, what jumped out for you?
Facing your habits, because what I immediately thought about was mom guilt, right? And a lot of my mom guilt came from my bad habits. And so I was like,
You mean
oh
you being the
yeah,
mom or your
me
mom?
being a mom and you know, the guilt that I had from being in corporate, always being in the air, going place to place, or missing out on kids' games and stuff like that, made me overcompensate. And on top of being sick for the things that I got my kids involved in, like my kids were in everything because I was feeling like I wasn't giving them enough attention.
Mm-hmm.
So that was one of my bad habits, just always overcommitting, always saying yes,
Mm-hmm.
never saying no.
But wait,
You
if you had them in everything, then you still wasn't giving them your attention because they
know,
was
no, not
involved.
on they not what they were in it, not that they were in stuff, but I actually had to be the leader. So if I put them in
Oh, okay.
Girl Scout, then I was the Girl Scout leader. If I put them in cheerleading, then I'm the cheerleading coach. You know, I feel bad for my son because I really didn't do a lot of boy stuff with him, but I put him in stuff that was like the docents, and he had to be like a docent for the African American Museum, and so I would be helping him through that program, or I would put them in essay contests that I'm running and stuff like that. So I just kept overcompensating for me being in the air, thinking that I was missing out on their childhood
Mm-hmm.
and stuff like that.
But
And
you
that,
know what's interesting about that still though is that even though you were the head, but now they had to share you with others, so they still didn't get mom.
exactly. And I didn't realize that until they got grown. Because now watching them parent their kids, they was like, man, we're not doing it. We're not going to do that because you got to run everything. And if they want to be in the Girl Scouts, I'll put them in Girl Scouts. They want to be in basketball, I'll put them in basketball. We going to give them a choice. And I gave them a choice, but once they committed, I wouldn't let them quit.
Hmm.
So
Well, I understand that not quitting, but my goodness, talk about the layers inside of that.
yeah, yeah.
So
And
that's what got you excited about this. So, okay, so you have you started confronting any of your habits?
yeah, I have. Now after they were grown and raising their own kids, I was like, oh, I did that, and I literally was just sharing with a young lady today, because she was feeling the same thing. She was feeling mom guilt to the point where she was feeling like I didn't think my kids liked me because her and her former husband, they got divorced when their kids were very, very young. I think the youngest was 2 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And so she grew up raising the children as a single mom. And then the older kid felt like he had to parent parent the younger kids, because and be the husband, because he was a male child and the other two were girls and younger, so they got all mom's attention. So she felt, she shared with me that she felt guilty for that. She felt like they didn't like her and they didn't think she was good enough because he left them. So, and she
Listen,
said she's about to be 70 something, and she's just now getting over the fact that she's still good enough and she was a great mom to them, even though she felt like all their life she wasn't.
you know what's so interesting? A lot of people would think that after you get a certain age, it's like, oh, well, it's too late to even care about that or whatever. A
Mhm.
lot of, old school people, they don't even think that they have to reconcile with anything. So,
Yeah.
say for instance, our generation, we just now started really making important to deal with our pain and really focusing on it and bringing things to the attention, calling it to the
Oh,
table.
the two table. Yep.
But the older generation, they think let bygones be bygones.
Right. And don't speak about it. Oh well, it happened. I'm
Mhm.
over it. Especially if we religious, like we pray about it, give it to God, leave it at the altar, and we good. You know,
Right. Like that right there is mental illness at its
it's
finest.
at its best. At its best.
Because
And
you
that's a
let
whole
me
nother
right
topic.
there.
We talk about church hurt and church and the things that we do to ourselves as Christians,
Mm-hmm.
not
Mm-hmm.
forgiving ourselves as Christians, not giving our own selves grace as Christians. That's
Oh, it's a checklist.
a
Like you got
whole.
this checklist of what you can do and cannot do as a Christian, and therefore you're guilted as a result of it. I remember my mother asking me something about. I remember I had my daughter doing affirmations, and my mother thinking I was shoving it, down her throat or whatever.
Mhm,
And then, like, if I would say something to her, I would use the word as a to help her align, because
mhm,
my mother looked at it as that I was guilting my daughter into feeling some kind of conviction. And maybe it was at the time, but
mhm.
the lesson itself of what I was focused on was still the lesson,
Right.
regardless, because here's what the rule was, and this is the reason why you want to do it. So, I was very rigid
Mhm.
in a lot of things in raising my daughter. And I had the habits of making sure none of the balls dropped out of the air. Those I finally got to a place because first of all, my daughter said I was OCD. So everything had to be in its place and in order. And then when I realized as a business person, I'm like, you can't keep a very clean house and keep a very tight business too at the same time. Like, how do you win at this? And I realized that you have to play seesaw with that.
Yep.
Something has to give. You have to allow things to kind of fall apart and then come back later and pick it up. It's almost like a round robin. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Deal with what you can deal with today. When you're done with that, pass it, whatever. But then also make sure to know when to turn the clock off. The mental clock, the regular clock, all kinds of clock to shut down.
Yeah.
Otherwise, all your days will just run into one another, trying to be perfect.
Yeah, Sandra Ron said that too. She said she was being interviewed by, I think, by 60 Minutes, and they were like, "How do you win at being a mom and win at this awful playwright and often?" She said, "When I'm winning here, something down here is dropping." So it's a balancing thing, and just because it looked like I got it all together, I don't. I'm balancing life as it goes, and a lot of times we put so much pressure on ourselves that we forget to minister grace to ourselves. So
We,
yeah, that's why that topic stepped out to me, because I'm the first person to say, "Whew, Minister Grace." But when it comes to me administering to Debbie, girl, get it together. Shake it off, push
see, yeah.
through.
And I
Yeah,
was going to say, I was going to lean in on that Minister Grace. Like, who teaches that? And
yeah,
what does that even look like? Like
right.
Minister Grace, yeah, we know it, but it just seems like, oh, you just checked. All right, you just checked me, but you didn't help realign
Yeah,
me. So what does that mean to minister grace? Like, how do I minister grace in those situations? So people don't know what that looks like, so therefore they can't do it. So for
hmm,
me, minister grace is to turn around and say, you don't have to win them all. And even when you don't win them all, you're still winning.
you still winning. Yes, yes, absolutely,
And
absolutely.
it's okay that here's the biggest one for me: leaving dirty dishes in the sink. I had to be okay with that because of all the other things that was demanding my attention. I had to prioritize
Mhm.
as if things had expiration dates. Them dishes ain't going to expire.
Right.
Get them in the morning. But like meeting this deadline for business when you are a business owner, when you have several businesses like me, I
Mhm.
mean, yes, something's going to have to give.
Something is, and yeah, and then on top of that, I'm a micromanager, and I sometimes believe that can't nobody do it like me. So, so I don't release control. I don't release control, and that's a bad habit because you, as effective business leader, you got to make sure that you're not only doing the job, but you're teaching your replacement because you don't want to. If you juggling all, wearing all the hats in your business, then you already failing. You're not scaling. You've already failed. You
But
know.
how are you doing with that though, Deb?
I do better than I did in my early years of business, and now that I'm doing the business and the nonprofit at the same time, um, it's definitely getting easier uh to just allow those folks be great at their job,
Mm-hmm.
and then like you said, come back and say, okay, how's that working out, and be okay with it, just changing because things change, especially in this economy and this series of profit and loss and some supply and demand, especially supply and demand. Everything is up in the air. You can never get nothing when they say it's going to be. Stuff just
Yeah.
happens. Life going to keep life in, and the old Debbie couldn't handle life in. You know.
How would you react? This is so. I'm just so curious. How would you react? Bad mood?
Yeah, I would be in a bad mood. I'd be like, I would turn. And you ever heard the term Brazilla? I'd be in Brazilla when ain't no daggone wedding. Just be skitzing. Like, what is happening? And yell at people. Like, let me speak to your manager. Let me speak to your manager. Going all the way to the top, making like, because I'm speaking to your manager. That's gonna make my product get here faster. And no, that don't always work. Sometimes you get more done by just keeping your cool and speaking to the situation calmly, so you'll get the results that you need. Everybody don't have to see the ugly side of Debbie because that one gets bad.
But that one was fueled by ego. Because I remember,
Hmm. Hmm.
being like, you don't get to play me like that. You know what I
I
mean?
know.
It's about defending yourself and look,
Yes,
ain't nobody getting over on me. And then
that
it was
was it.
okay. And then it
That
even
was it.
went to a place where you weren't trying to be, which is you end up getting over on them. I'm speaking for myself.
Yeah, especially if you in a male dominant industry. Like I was in finances. I was in the banking world when I was doing that, and as a black female in a male dominant role, you always had to talk deeper because other than that, you weren't getting heard. Like so, I literally had to speak louder. I had to wear tall hair, even though I'm 6 foot. Right, I had to wear heels, had to wear dark color, and then being a black girl, I couldn't wear this kind of style. I had to have my hair straight, like Becky. And so I always had like a straight
Mhm.
wig and a dark suit and talk louder, so that I can be heard in a room full of men. I don't do that no more. Yeah.
What you do instead?
Huh?
What do you do instead to be heard?
I walk in there and like I told you last week, the week before, my anointing is finally so I'm my authentic self and I speak as I speak, I dress as I dress, wild hair or not, I come in there with red hair if I want to, and I always have something loud on so you gonna know I'm in the room.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know.
Can't get overlooked. So, because that's the other book, thriving, not thriving, not just surviving. How
Hmm.
to overcome the pressures to succeed as a black woman, and I speak about a lot of that in the book. Whereas with black women, we're muted in those
Yeah.
rooms and things like that, and how to be able to show up in your wholeness
And your wholeness, yep.
and what that looks like. And it's a head job, you
Yeah.
know. It's certain things that you have to unpack, but the number one thing is to recognize how the systems are set up against us.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
That's
ma'am.
a big thing. And that system itself, it not only is set up against us, but it's to affect the family life because we hold the family together. But if we're jacked up in the head and we're emotionally unbalanced, then when we get
You
home, we're
talking.
in need
You
of,
talking her.
a man to be in a certain place or be a certain thing to us and cover our spirit in a certain way. And then he's not taught those things. He's just taught to go out, bring the bread in back home, and then you're dealing with the kids and all that. And you're just exhausted on top of
Yes.
exhausted. And then here comes the health issues, all of that, which is definitely why we can play with this thing called healing. A lot of
No.
times what we do is we try to lick the wound, throw a band-aid on it real quick. Oh, I'll
Yeah.
be all right. You know what I mean? Oh, this will be all right. You know, we cover stuff up. I mean, just even think about us trying to keep our hair done, right? We do certain things and the hair gets damaged, then we trying to cover that up with something else. I mean, all of these quick fixes, they're all superficial.
They're all superficial. You're absolutely right. And that word, I'm fine. We talk about that all the time. I'm fine. How you doing? I'm fine. Now, for me though, sometimes I say I'm fine because I judge my. You know how they say try the spirit by the spirit. If I feel like you ain't gonna pray for me, I'm fine to you. Yeah.
Right, right.
But if it's somebody that I know is a prayer warrior and got my back, baby, this is happening. This is happening. This is
Yeah, that's
happening.
right. That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah, but on the surface, that's just like a salutation,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Yep.
But how about the times that we say we find and it's in our immediate family?
Yeah.
Like say for instance, what I've dealt with a couple women over the past month is they don't want to be a burden to their man.
Yeah.
So therefore they don't bring stuff up.
I,
And then
I feel that more so of a male trait though. I think it's both of us though, male and females, because I know, judging from my own experience, my brothers, my son, and my husband, they don't share at all. If something's going on with them, it's almost like they gotta be sick, bulling over there before they tell me they got a problem.
but like I said, okay, so for the women's side, what I dealt with is the husband, he was frustrated because he would tell her about a financial issue at
Hmm.
the last minute. And
Oh,
so
okay.
therefore it's a lot of tension behind that.
Oh, I
And
can
so
see that. Yeah.
she never told him the reason why she waited till the last minute because she didn't want to burden him with the problem when it arose,
Okay.
hoping that something could come through and that she could fix it. And then when she couldn't fix it, then she tell
Then
him.
she
So now,
tell them.
but
Okay.
then that stresses him out worse because for him, this particular man, he didn't have great saving habits, so he likes to
Mhm.
spend money. So then, by the time she comes to ask, he doesn't have that extra change to turn around and solve her problem. So she's thinking that all the tension was around money, and it wasn't.
Oh, it's about her coming responding lately, lastly. Yeah.
Yeah, because look at the domino effect. That
Yep.
that habit itself, I like that dude.
Mhm.
That habit itself, the domino effect of that is you're thinking that he's spazzing over money, therefore you don't want to ask him for money. When that wasn't it. What he's spazzing over is your lack of communication, your lack of
Mm.
transparency. You're not allowing him to be your hero in the time that you need him. He knows that he wants to be that. He's there for you.
Yeah.
His spirit is aligned to be that. And
Yeah.
a lot of women don't know that his whole motivation for why he even gets up is because of her. Because without her, he's not motivated. Who, if there were no other women left on the planet, men wouldn't even go to work. They would ride hoopties, they would half shower, and they would just eat a bunch. Okay,
Yeah.
so we're the
I
motivation
totally agree.
for a lot of that. And so I explained to her that the reason why he's stressed and that irritated him is because now he feels like he's a failure at
Hmm.
being your husband.
Yeah.
And it
And that's
wasn't
a
for
lot of
him
guilt
before.
too.
That's a lot of guilt.
That's a
So
lot of guilt.
that's where the tension came from.
Yeah.
So we had to rip that band-aid off of her. The
Mhm.
habit of not communicating, the habit of not thinking that he wanted that, you know what I mean? Her esteem issue was at stake here. Not thinking that he cared enough about her that he wanted to be that hero for her. She
Yeah.
didn't know that that was going on the inside.
I can see that. Yeah. That's a lot. And you know what? She's probably not alone in that thing too. There's probably others who absolutely do that. And we do the same thing with our children as
It
well.
was two women in the past 30 days, and it was the first time I had ever heard it.
Really.
And I was like, it has to be more kind. If that's the first time, and then one come right after it talking about the burden, it has to be. So therefore, here goes the woman trying to solve everything and be everything in the household. All these different pressures that we take on because society dumps it on our lap, and we as Black women say yes to every daggone thing.
Hmm.
So we try to fix it all, and we don't want to be a burden on anybody, want to solve everybody. We don't want to ask for any help because we know everybody else got their own situation.
That's
But
true.
what's a burden for me? Like you setting up these meetings. Oh, baby, if you was left to me, I wouldn't do it. It's a burden for me.
Hmm.
There's no joy in it at all. You know what I mean?
So how did you get to the root of why she was doing it? Why did she stop communicating? Is it because she thought he was going to fuss about the money, or is because she mismanaged it and was afraid to confront herself?
You want to know
Mm.
the practical stuff, or do you want to know the root?
The root,
The root is no self-love.
no self love. Oh wow.
Everything goes back to self-love.
Oh wow.
Every
Okay.
issue we have in life goes back to self-love.
Wow, that's deep right there.
Everything is grounded, rooted in self-love. We can fix if we start really healing ourselves. A lot of things will go a lot smoother if we start with self-love.
That's true, and because it's like they say when you on the airplane, you got to care for you. Put your mask on first before you try to heal somebody else or
That's
help
right.
somebody else. And unfortunately, that you hear that all the time. But the practical is, do you love yourself enough to heal you?
Right.
And what will that healing look like? Where do you even start?
But
Some
I
of
don't
us will
have time to heal me. I gotta go take care of
take.
this, and I got this, and I got that. You know how many women bought my books, and they're like, "Ange, I promise I'm gonna get to. I read some of it, but Ange, I started on them halfway through. Ange, I started my 30-day affirmations from your website. I got the three.
Yeah, I
The
saw that
three
on there. That was nice. I like
okay,
that.
good. So they start that, but then they stop. So this is what
Hmm.
I said. I said to one woman, I guess about 3, 4 days ago. I said, "Here's the interesting thing. If you had to be consistent about that 30 days for your
Hmm.
son, for your daughter, for your husband, you would."
Yep, sure would. And as a mom, you get up 4 o'clock in the morning, go to Girl Scout practice or gymnastics, and you will break your back to do whatever you got to do for them
Yep,
kids.
you wouldn't miss a beat. And
Not
I said,
out.
and right now, you need you more than anybody needs you.
Yes,
Because when you break down, who's going to do all the antics that you're doing now?
this is true. This is so true. This is
And
so
so,
true.
how do you get there? You start by loving yourself. Now, that's the problem right there because how do I start loving myself? What do you mean by that? Where does that start? And
Yeah.
that's why I have my course that's on my website. People can go
Okay.
online. It's only $20. And I
Okay.
go through 2.5 hours of step by step showing you how to get to self-love.
Now, in your process of writing chapter 2, well, the whole book, what was the point that said this goes here, this go right here?
You know what's funny? So let me think. Did I even look at it that way? Um, it kind of evolved. Okay, this might sound weird, but I think about the end. What do I want women to have at the end?
Hmm.
And then I'm like, okay, at the end, I want them to feel like this. Then I say, okay, what did I have to go through to finally feel like that?
Hmm.
Where did it start? So I just went from the beginning and started thinking about me over the years, the things that collapsed first, the things I kept
Hmm.
getting wrong first. And so I just think about like peeling back a layer.
Layer by layer, like an
So,
onion. Yep.
yeah, yep.
I
So I just,
tell authors that all the time, or anybody who's starting with a new business or anything. Start what you're in. What do you want your in? Like for me, when I wrote my book, I started with the cover because this is what I wanted the cover to look like. So I started there first and filled in the pages afterwards and the chapters afterwards. But
yeah,
yeah, start with the end in mind because you work your way through it, and especially if it's ordained, it'll get there.
that's
It'll just
exactly.
flow right. It writes itself practically.
Yeah.
You know.
It's so interesting. It took me 10 years to finally get to writing the book because I was so busy juggling everything else and being there for my daughters and being everything at all times and making sure
Hmm.
nothing dropped for them. I even remember going to the dentist and the dentist told me, I heard an issue right here.
Hmm.
And he told me, he said, hey, you got to keep flossing. And he was like, you got to keep flossing because you're going to, he says, at least floss your smile, Angie. If you don't, after being depressed, suppressed, oppressed, all types of pressed, being a single mom down in Georgia trying to make it, you know, self-employed, all that, and just trying to make sure that my kids stay healthy and all that, doing all that for them. I didn't care for myself. At
Yeah.
the end of the day, I didn't floss before I went to sleep. I didn't brush my teeth before I went to sleep. You know what I mean? And then if my daughters had a toothache, oh, guess what? I'll run right up in there. But all the cosmetic stuff that I needed,
Hmm.
oh, I'll wait. I waited
Oh
until
yeah, I wait.
with
And
them. know,
Yeah, I don't. I'll wait. Yep.
but yet, if they had an emergency, we find the money. But when we have the emergency, we tell the doctor we're gonna put it off for a little while.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
that's
That is crazy. But then is it because we think that's being selfish if we care for ourselves first?
I don't know if we think that it's being selfish. I just think that we don't think we're important enough, and
That's
that
it.
it's a 911. We
Yeah.
think that we got more time when it comes to us, and we're okay.
Yeah.
We're okay. It don't matter. It ain't that deep. I get to it when I get to it. You
Mhm.
know, and guess what? When you operate that way, I made a post about this. People want to treat you
Just like that.
just like
You're
that.
absolutely right. And that's just that's with everything in your business life, in your personal life. People are already going to they're going to know, go to her because she got this or she does this or do this. And people will just continue to treat you like you let them.
Yep. Then they'll keep bringing the opportunities because you always greet it with a smile. Oh, I'll
Yeah.
handle it. Oh, I'll bring the macaroni and cheese, knowing that you ain't got the budget to feed that many people with macaroni and
Yeah.
cheese, but you put 3 expensive cheeses in it. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? And we just continue to do too much. We're at the job. Oh, you know what? She could bring the rum cake and da 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 da. I remember back when I was in like 8th grade, we had to pull names of what we needed to bring.
Uh-huh.
What Cheryl say? Some persons don't place value on self. That's correct, Cheryl.
Uh, I
Yeah,
got her
yeah,
here.
we're not taught to put value on ourselves. We're taught to do this thing right here, go sit down somewhere, get ready for the next day. You did your homework, you did this, da, da, da. Okay, great, next day. You know what I
Yep.
mean? We're not taught
Yep.
that, oh, you're important. What happened to you? Are you feeling good? How do you like the space that you are? Da, 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 da. We're not, taught to do any
No.
of that. So that's exactly correct. Thanks for that, Cheryl.
Yeah, we're not taught that. And you're but on that same thing, we a lot of stuff that we figured out after the fact.
And I
You know?
don't even know if we figured it out. I think the impact of us beat us up so daggone much, we were forced to become curious to look at that thing because it created so much pain. So
Yeah.
I want to read this part in the book, right? Let me see. Let's see how quick I can read it. Let's take a close look at family. Place a magnifying glass over your family dynamics. You know who the major characters are, who you
Mhm.
enjoy, which ones aren't as rewarding to spend a lot of time with. Let's think about how you show up in your family. Think of the ways you express love and the love you receive in return. I now know I invested too much time trying to show up for my family in the best way that I knew how. It was
Mhm.
my only love language. By the way, I am referring to my generation and older when I say family. Loving them my way was just as exhausting as raising a child as a single mother with very little resources or leverage to do a thorough job.
Wow.
Heart
That's
kept
deep.
Okay. My little heart kept getting crushed when they didn't meet my expectations. It took a lifetime for me to realize that I was trying to be loyal and supportive to my family in exchange for the same commitment. The problem was that I assumed we all thought alike.
Wow.
We are a family, aren't we? It is life changing to learn that your family is different. I was very disappointed because it left me feeling lonely. The largest downside was that I was the only girl, and my brothers weren't aware of the impact of their lack of engagement with me and didn't realize that I needed them.
Wow.
Unfortunately, my mother was in survival mode and wasn't aware of my feelings of abandonment. All of these truths and more created the independent, stubborn, and resilient executor that I am well known for today.
Yeah, and then you become the boss. Like in my family,
Yes.
well, that's it's almost the same similar story, but I'm called grandma because I'm gonna figure it out. I'm gonna get it done, and I'm gonna be there for everybody for those same exact reasons. That's weird though. That's weird. And again, when you're not the oldest, are you?
I'm the middle.
You're in the middle. Okay.
But you would have think I was the oldest because my oldest brother, he had the freedom to be a child, to go
Yeah.
play basketball, go do this, go do that. The reins on him was very loose. So
Mhm.
therefore, all the responsibility fell on me to take care of my younger brother.
Okay.
Yeah, and then me being female, okay, hey, I need you to cook, I need you to
Do
this.
this, do this, do that. Yep. Cook dinner, wash dishes, make sure so and so got this, feed so and so. Yes,
So
I get it.
so check this out. So sis, when it comes to family, there are often some individual habits that need a serious overhaul. It's not easy to confront this, but it's essential for our identity, growth, and healing. My first step was acknowledging that they never asked for the love I was offering and that I was shoving my presence down their throats.
Wow,
They'd,
that's deep.
and they'd cough it up with disrespect. Well, who do they think they are not to value me? I was sore about every episode, and the offenses continued over the years. What I hadn't paid attention to was the cause of their reactions. My great intentions showed up as demands and ultimatums. I also projected my beliefs and values onto them as if I had the best perspective and solutions for their life's situations. Ain't nobody
Now,
got
how did you and Cheryl, yes, she is the author. She's the author of several books,
oh, here it is.
and we are talking about her. That's the second book, or your
This is
first?
the
That's
second one,
the
yeah.
second book.
What third? Because the first one is my daughter's
Yeah,
children's book, but
children's book. Yeah.
Thriving, Not Just Surviving is the first one. And then this one is actually out on ebook now. You can pre-order it for 99 cents on the ebook.
Yeah.
That's how important this is. That I want everybody to get it. It ain't even about profit. It's just like, hey, get this in my sister's hands. So check this out. So what did I say? Okay. I had to learn to be still and do nothing. It was time to be quiet. It was time to learn self love and self nurturing. This brought on a different challenge because I wasn't associated with anyone who reflected self love. It took
Okay.
it took more living and hitting walls before I learned how to invest in myself, protect myself, and believe in myself. And I now have a course that you can access from my website that teaches you how to develop self love and on angiekearns.com. Yes, that's it, Cheryl. Cheryl, what resonated for you? Yeah, so I had to realize that I was putting demands on, you can relate, good. I was putting demands on family. Like there was nothing wrong with my intentions. I was trying
Mhm.
to show loyalty. I was trying to show, I got your back. You know what I mean? I remember working to my brother. I was in high school and I made money at working at a store, and I ran up on him and one of his friends. And then they were talking trash or whatever. And he was like, oh man, no, you owe me $20. And my brother was like, I know, I know. My brother didn't have any money. He didn't have a job. So I dug in my pocket and I paid the guy the $20. Girl, my brothers ain't never paid no debts for me. He never even think like that. So what I'd be willing to do and what I looked at as loyalty, they defined it differently.
Right. Yeah.
The
Yeah.
same word, but you know what I mean? But defined differently.
How did that cross over to you? Has that ever happened to you in the business room though?
As far as
Where
loyalty.
people thinking you're arrogant or because you had to make stuff happen?
Hmm. No, actually, no. And I'm gonna tell you the reason why I believe it didn't.
Mhm.
Because I was so broken that it never
Oh,
showed up
okay.
as arrogance.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So I was so broken. So it was like when I met my business coach this year, he said that when he looks at me and he talks to me, he sees all the power and all the strength and everything. He said, but I also saw it was like a little girl that was in the corner afraid to come forward.
Okay.
But that's that false humility that we're taught.
Don't speak more on that because that right there hurt my coins right there. That hurt my coins. That false humility
Yep.
hurts my
So,
coins.
so what we're taught in the Black community is to not brag on yourself. Don't
Mhm.
think, don't think too big of yourself. You know
Don't
what I
toot
mean?
your own horn. Yep.
Yeah, who you think you
Who you
are.
think you are?
So when I got into sales and I started to do business, and then when I was interacting with other races, what they enjoyed most is my confidence about certain things, right? But there were times that I would not speak up because I thought they had a better answer or a better solution than me, or they didn't want to hear it from a Black woman.
That part. Yeah.
So one time I was on this team. It was during the first recession, and the woman set us up to be tested. She would send people, some of her friends, to call us or whatever.
Mhm.
And so I failed my test. So she called me and she said, Angie, I just had my coach, Chris. He called and he asked you about this and he asked you about that. She said, why didn't you tell him about the school districts. Why didn't you tell him about X, Y, and Z? And I said, I asked her a question, and she came out. She said, "But you could have said this. You could have said that." And then, so I was in a corner. I had no more answers except for my truth that I would have told any other Black person, but I wasn't willing to tell her until she cornered me. She says, "Well, why didn't you?" And I said, "Because that white man doesn't want to hear nothing from a Black woman." And she stopped. She said, "What?" She said, "Angie, that's your own stuff." She said, "You made that up."
You made that up. Yeah.
And I was like, wow. So I was so excited. Everybody else on the team was like irritated that she would trick them. I was so glad that she did it because it helped me confront something that was hiding underneath. I had hidden prejudices that were given to me from my family.
Yeah.
That's who taught me that them white people don't want to hear nothing you got to say. That's all you hear in your households. They don't want to hear this. To be quite honest with you, they didn't thinking about us the way that we think they're thinking about us.
Yeah.
A woman turn around and say, "Well, you know they don't want us to get ahead." In those executive meetings,
and you hear that in your mind in those meetings, so you stand brighter. And but for me, that kind of motivated me, like, because I always felt like I had to prove myself, because I know deep down inside they rooting against me, so it made me work harder.
So what? But the thing about it is, they so busy focused on their bottom line. They ain't got time to be rooting.
They ain't got time. They ain't got
Girl,
time.
tell us what you were saying. You was there, but then one day you realize what's there, because we done skipped on so many topics.
She had wrote that when we were talking about feeling guilty.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, feeling that. Yeah. I tell you, the worst bondage there is people bondage, but the worst of it is family bondage. Being in family bondage, it will hold you back. I promise you, every time I make a post, I think about my family.
Well, okay.
Every time I make a post, because honestly, they don't know this side of me. They're just now getting to know this side of me.
This side of confidence, because I think we've always known that.
Okay, I'm sorry. You know what? Let me be specific.
Okay.
Not my dad's side, not your side, not
okay.
Your side of the family have always loved me and treated me with respect and kindness and made me important.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah, but my mom's side of the family, I was just there.
Yeah.
I was just there. And it's interesting because I was there, but as a little girl, some kind of way I was kind of spoiled though, and I don't know how, why. Maybe it was just them giving me my way, shutting me up or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, but for the most part, they didn't get to know who I was because they never knew my pain.
Okay.
You know, so that's why they don't know that side of me. Whereas my cousins, you know, Lynn and Crystal, you know, I could talk to them about the deep pain and they would listen.
Yeah.
So they would hear me. My brothers, they ain't have time for that. They were just like, "Man, we ain't trying to hear that. Get over it. Oh, you got to get over it." Everything would shove it off, and you know. And so to this day, it has always been very difficult for me to date men that were from the North.
Okay.
Because of the get over it type of
really?
attitude. They have no room for a woman's emotions, and it's just like,
is that just from the North, or is that a gender defect though?
I haven't encountered that in the South.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
And all I know is my boo for the last 30 something. Well, we've been together since we was 14, so long time.
Yes, that was different. Y'all got to grow together. Y'all got to share secrets together and stuff like that. So he didn't become jaded with a lot of stuff. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So yeah. Whereas with me, if I met somebody down here in the South, I'm saying here, and I'm not even in Georgia right now, but if I met somebody in the South and they were from up north, I could know right away just after one conversation whether they were, you know, open to really allow a woman to be soft, or do she have to be this hardcore thug on the inside type of thing, you know? And so that was really the toughest of my struggles when it came to dating.
Okay.
So, and the guy I married was from Georgia.
Okay. And how are you teaching this concept to, is it mostly to the younger women that you're trying to prevent them? Like your target market is women 25 to what?
About 40.
40. Okay.
But you know what's so interesting? When I look at my analytics, It's evenly distributed from 25 to 35, 35 to 45,
Mhm.
45 to 55. The percentages are equal.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So,
So it's resonating. It's through this new eye. It's resonating because it's real. And
ex-
like Cheryl said, a lot of folks can relate with this pain, and we're not having this conversation as women, openly, especially as Black women. I'm sure other races are talking to their therapists, but we still haven't gotten to that point to go see a therapist.
that's right. Yep. And you know what? One of my girlfriends, she used to plead with me to go see a therapist. But again, I had to take care of my daughter. I had to do this. I had to do that. She was the priority. And then when she needed therapy, I found the money. But with me, oh, I'm not going to do it. And it wasn't that I didn't want to go. I
Mhm.
just felt like for the levels of pain that I was dealing with, you just can't go look in the phone book and find that person. You know what I mean?
And a lot of times it wasn't nobody that looked like us. So a lot of times
Mhm.
they don't relate. Cause I know from my own personal experience when I went to there, some of the pain points, especially the religious pain points, uh, the therapists that I was there, they couldn't meet my needs. So because they didn't understand that culture,
That's right.
and when
Right.
people don't understand your culture, it's hard to give a clinical diagnosis for my pain when you don't understand my culture, you know.
What good point. And on that segue, I remember I have a lot of women that's in other races that I love and that are part of my village, right? So it was a challenge for me. I had to be willing to say this platform is specifically designed for my Black women, and I've offended them. And
Yeah.
but they knew that they could speak up and say, but Angie, but a lot of women can relate to your book. Like your book is so relatable and this, that, and the other. Why did you do that? Why did you make it just for the Black woman? And I said, because number one, she's the one I identified the most with because we share the same culture because I am Black.
Right.
That's number one. But number two, we're the most marginalized worldwide. And marginalized, when I looked that up, it pissed me off because it means we're the most insignificant.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
therefore, I'm going to create space that's designed for my sisters. And
That's
I have to boldly say that everywhere I go.
that's exactly why I started our nonprofits, because when I needed to take my granddaughter to a therapist, they didn't understand our culture. They didn't understand my religious background. They didn't understand her pain point. They didn't understand why she didn't know, why she was handling like that. And for the most part, there wasn't any group out there who could. And the ones of us who did get it, they
Mhm.
made the price so high that it wasn't affordable for a single mom.
Absolutely.
So I'm
Absolutely.
like, create what I needed to be for her.
That's right. And that's exactly right. So now I've created what I needed all those years.
Yep.
Somebody that's going to be straight up with me. You know what I mean? And somebody's not going to judge me. My young women, they love working with me because they could turn around and they could talk their talk, they'll talk their talk, say whatever it is. They know I'm not going to judge them. And when it comes to
Right.
like, if they turned around and now they regret because they slept with that guy and I don't know why I did that. And I said, come on, sis, you know why you did it because you felt like it. That's why you did it. We don't have to nickname that thing.
Yep. Real recognize real. And when you be honest with yourself, confront yourself, you all right. You be all right.
And that's exactly correct. So when you chose the truth serum is about really confronting yourself,
Yep.
your habits, your junk. And I
Yeah.
think what's going to surprise the women is the way that I talk about confronting the habits, because they would think that you're talking about the habits of the smoking or the drinking or the cussing or the this or that. No, we talk about them habits that can't nobody see, the invisible stuff. We're gonna pull that out because
Oh, you
that's
talking like Michael Jackson, the man in the mirror. You talking about those habits that you or him know.
yes,
Yep.
yep. He got to change his ways because guess what? If it's really like I have another girlfriend, she likes to say, but people should this and people do that, and ain't we supposed to? I said, listen, there are no shoulds and there are no supposed tos. People do what they want to do, but we get in order for us to get better, we gotta no. If in order for you and me to get better, because
Yeah.
we choose to get better, then
Yeah.
but we can't speak for the multitude, you
Not at
know? And no, there's no, oh, you should do this, you should do that. No, if we're talking about a computer, and you should turn it off at night if you want to preserve the battery and da 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 da. But a human being, you can't give them a should. You could tell them, you know what I mean? You could tell them what could be beneficial if they chose to go a different route, if they wanted a different outcome. Here's some things that's beneficial. That don't mean they're gonna do it.
They
And
don't. They don't.
and you
Just
can't be pissed off that they don't do it because you done spent the whole hour breaking it down to them and they ended up not doing it. And now you pissed off. No, you just have to make a decision that they can't have that conversation with you anymore.
my dad used to say, "I'm gonna give what God told me to tell you, and if you receive it, receive it. If not, I'm gonna dust the dust off my feet, and keep it pushing." And he
Yes.
said, you can't get upset every time you give the message and they don't react the way you think they should act. And he even told me that with the kids. He said, you deliver what was told, what you was told to do, what was downloaded to you to share, you share, and who was meant to be is going to hear it. And other than that, you dust your feet and keep it moving on to the next assignment.
That's right.
Because
It's
obedience.
simple.
And I bet you doctors feel that way too, because
Oh, yeah. You know how frustrated they get?
I'm sure they got to be frustrated with me because I don't do nothing my doctors tell me to do.
Okay.
And
So
then he's like, "You here again, huh? How'd that work out for you?"
how about this habit? Here goes one. The habit of keeping up appearances.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
That grass on the green on the other side syndrome.
Okay, wait a minute. How about you got a beat up car, nasty apartment or whatever, but your ride is fly as heck. You got the latest Gucci, you got the latest this, that, and the other. You know what I'm saying? Or you sitting up here judging the chick at your job because
Yeah.
her husband did this, that, or the other, and here your husband doing X, Y, and Z as well. You know what I mean? Keeping the appearance like everything is all good.
Yeah,
That's a habit that needs to break because that's keeping you from being whole.
that is.
That's
You're from
something you
your
gotta
truth.
confront. Yeah,
That's definitely true.
absolutely.
That's definitely true. And I don't even know what I'm trying to think. Why is that though? Why is it perspective? What is it? Why is that such a hard thing for us to let go? Like, yeah, I'm flawed. I tell people in a minute, I'm flawed in all your ways. Don't, if you looking at me as your beaker, you gonna be misguided because sis right here got a lot going on.
Right,
You
right.
know,
So you saying you said why is it that
why
our
do we feel like we gotta keep it up? Why can't we be vulnerable?
well in our community, remember we weren't supposed to show any vulnerability.
Yeah.
And that comes from generation back. Oh, you take it all the way back to slavery.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? And so that's the legacy they left for us is to carry that shame.
The shame. Yeah. That's crazy though. And that's crazy. How do we break it from our generations now? Like,
Looking in the mirror, starting with me.
yeah,
And I can't wait for you, Deb, to do it. I got to do it for myself.
that's true. That's
You know what I
true.
mean? I can't turn around and say, "Oh well, you know what? I got a sisterhood now. All of us sisters gonna get together." No, everybody is dancing to the beat of their own drum. So
Yeah.
the music's gonna sound different. You know what I'm saying?
It used to be if you go, I go. I remember when I first said my plate was too full and I need to let some things go. I had to talk my girlfriend in. If you get off this committee, I will too. If you
Say
do this, like no, Debbie, you need to just stop. That's it. You ain't got to bring the bandwagon on and pull
exactly.
everybody off. Let them live their life.
And
So,
guess what? But why is it that you didn't have enough courage at the time? And it was because lack of self love. If
like
it's
self
meant
love,
to be for you, then you need to do what you need to do, even if your homegirl stay on it. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yep. And then and then we were having our general conversation like you and I are having, and she was like, "I'm exhausted." And I was like, "Well, what did you do today?" She said, "Well, I had to go to this Boy Scout meet and this club meet, and I had to do this, that, and the other." I said, "You know why? Because you have just as much stuff on your plate as I have on mine." And I said, "We don't have to do all this stuff."
That's right.
She said, "You're right.
Yeah.
Let's stop.
That's right. Why not stop?
Let's
You
stop."
know, but when the pain hurts enough, we stop.
Yeah.
So when people say, I don't know why I keep doing it, I said, because you ain't
Because
experienced no
you ain't,
pain yet.
you all right. You good. You just keep pushing. It
That's
ain't it ain't hurting too much when when those of us when I was a little heavier, When I got tired of walking, I sat down. When it started hurting too much, I sat down. You ain't hurting hard enough.
That's it.
That's why you
That's the
keep doing
bottom
it.
line. And guess what? In Belize, they say sometimes you gotta feel to learn.
Ooh, yeah, that's true. I can relate to that. That's true.
Absolutely. You know, so the chapter goes on to talk about the different habits, right? But
Mhm.
two that I just want to mention, which of course we don't have much time to get into it, but it's the habit of silence and the habit of blame.
Mm.
Okay.
Don't talk about blame. That's a whole 2 day. That's a 2 day one. We need maybe 2 weeks about that one. We need 2 weeks for blame.
Okay.
Ooh.
Girl, I'm gonna tell you about one of the things about blame real quick for me. How about I remember in my relationship saying, always like getting on his case about the things that he did that bothered me or whatever.
Mhm.
Then it just got to a place I was just like, you know what, I don't even care about this relationship. Like whatever, it's not, it's whatever, right? And this is not marriage. This is when I was dating. But then I sat there and I thought about it. When I looked at my professional life, I'm like, I kind of, I'm kind of ranking a little bit. And I look over a personal life. I said, why does Fool ain't treating me like the queen that I am?
Mhm.
But I had to realize because I wasn't operating like the queen that I was. So
And
I
when
had to
you had
test
that
my
self confirmation, when you had to sit back in your seat, how did that make you feel? Like, did you go back and apologize, or
well, about I didn't have to apologize about not being the queen. I had to apologize to myself
to
about that.
yourself about that? Yeah.
Yeah, and then I had to just go ahead and make some changes, and now I had a new conversation that I had to sit down with them, and so we renegotiated our relationship and how things would move forward. And one of the things that he told me that I needed in order to build more trust is I needed to stop running every time there was a problem.
Ooh, and
I
that sometimes that's a way of the silence too, because you run to keep from saying what you got to say. And
Oh,
when
I
I
would
get
say
tired,
it. I would say it and run. I would say,
and run.
listen,
Okay.
bottom line, and then look, ego. I'm this, I'm that. I ain't got time. I ain't doing. I ain't for this. I. I was getting all in the way,
Uh-huh.
and I had to realize that I do have time.
Yeah.
I do have time. I have to make the time. And then
Yeah.
he said, you can get more out of me. Basically, every time you run, you make me more insecure about the stability of us. And therefore, I don't need to invest if you're going to run. That's what
Wow.
his heart is saying as a man. Girl, I'm bilingual. I speak man and woman sometimes. But his heart was saying, I can't give you more of me when you keep running away with what I gave you. And
Yeah.
now I'm left with a void because I don't know when you're going to be okay again.
Yeah.
He's like, I
That's
can't
deep.
move forward in that. That's inconsistency. That's unstable. I'm
Mhm.
not used to that. Loyalty and commitment don't look like what you're offering.
Now, I know we don't have much more time, but the apology to yourself.
Mhm.
How
Yes.
how many times do you have to look yourself in the mirrors and forgive yourself?
Not so much anymore, but I had to a lot because I didn't even realize how many offenses, violations I was giving myself. You know,
Mm, mm,
violation after violation after violation.
yeah.
Just like I remember some years ago, I put this on Facebook. I can't remember what the situation was, but I swear it was long ago. But it made me chuckle so hard. Some dude did something. I don't even remember what the thing was, but I came on Facebook. I said, every once again in life, you got to realize you played yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You played yourself. You ain't mad at nobody but yourself.
That's yourself.
You
Yeah.
know, and a lot of women in these arguments that they have with men, they're mad because they've invested so much, done so much, sacrificed so much. Half the crap he ain't even talked to you about, but yet you steadily offering it all, doing it all. He can't even catch up to you. She overperforming and all this kind of stuff. And then when he don't show up on this one little thing that she had in her head that rolled out a certain way, when he don't show up on that thing that make it look like the way she assumed it should, now he's all wrong.
And she mad too.
Yeah, and she's not mad at him. She's disappointed with him. She's
And the
been
person she should be disappointed was herself because she set false expectations.
And guess what? She was giving him tests that he didn't know he was taking.
We do that way too much, females.
Yes.
Way too much. And that's not even in a bit in the relationship. That's with a lot of things. We do that with our jobs sometimes. We test our bosses, we test everybody. I guess that's a way to test loyalty. But
girl, that is, you hit it right on the head. That's how we test loyalty.
Test loyalty. But the person that you need to be loyal to is yourself.
First of all, loyalty comes with a conversation.
Yes.
It's a negotiation. Hey, I got your back. Yep. Are you willing to be in this with me too? Do we look out for each other like that? You just can't assume loyalty, because what I define as loyalty is different from what you define as loyalty.
Yes.
So if we ain't even talking the same thing, how you gonna come through for me?
That's true. Yeah, in the silence. So I know we got 5 more minutes on there, but silence. Again, I said don't even talk about that daggone blame, because we could spend 2-3 weeks on blame, because we always got that thumb going like this, or that finger.
That finger,
that finger going like this. You, and then we boast ourselves, talking about, well, I did this and I did that. We pat ourselves on the back.
I love how you telling yourself. Come on, tell us that what you do.
You know I do it. I do in a minute. I tell, well, I did that, and I had one boss told me this one time. He said, Deborah, you are the top salesperson in this industry, but you know what you need to learn? And when he said I need to learn, then I was like, hold on, don't tell me what I need to do. But when he said it, I was like, ouch. He said, you think your way is the only way. And you need to learn that other people have good ideas too. Yes. And I was like, dang. But he was right, because I do, like, when I feel like if God downloaded to me, then that's my yes. And I ain't deviating from it. But sometimes it might be other people's, might have a better idea.
Or guess what? Your idea might have been the best, but everybody needs a road to grow.
To
back and allow them to try and institute what it is that they have, so they can learn from it. Because I had to learn that at the last company I was at. I was, of course, an elder, and everybody was so young in their 30s and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I had to quickly learn that I needed to stay out of that altogether. And if they needed something, come to me. You know what I mean? And when they needed my input, I gave it, right? But then I also gave them different ideas and helped them understand how these things can sync together and how they can work. But they still came up with their own stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And they still made a lot of mistakes, and the company folded and all of that too. Yeah. But that's okay, because that's the path that was supposed to go down.
Yeah, that's another thing we could talk about. That's another thing. Talk, especially when you're in a company or an industry where there's multiple generations in there, and the seniors feeling like they grayed out, and the millennials thinking that they know everything or not. We don't know enough. So that's a whole nother conversation right there.
That is so true. That is so true. That's a good one. So, Deb, let me let everybody know, the Black sisters, you can join my community. Go on to my website, angiekearns.com, and hit the join my community. When you hit that join my community, you also get your free 30 days of affirmations for a Black woman. And I heard that they are powerful. I knew they was powerful when I read them.
Wrote them, but they are.
You read them? You like them, Deb?
I love them. I was like, okay.
Oh, you do yours every day?
Yeah, I do mine. I've been doing it for a while, but you had some on there that I ain't said. So, yeah.
You said what? You had what?
You had someone on there on the list that I haven't said to myself.
Oh, okay.
So,
yeah, nice. Yeah. I mean, the doggone feedback I get, the testimonies, they bring tears to my eyes.
Yeah.
Changes that they make. So I am so grateful. And I just want to get them to all the women, So you guys go to my website, download, and also go to my website and get your Rip the Bandage Off and Heal for Real. It's 99 cents ebook. After the 26th, it's going to be $20. And then a paper book will be available as well, and that's going to be $30. And guess what? I price these paper books. They're easy reads, but I price them as such because I don't want anybody to get them that's going to do it just because they think I need them to support me. Nope. I want you to spend the money because you want to invest in you.
Mm-hmm. And I this is my book copy. I've got new ones because I'm actually going to be in Delaware on Monday. I mean, actually Saturday, I'm gonna be in Delaware at a grief conference.
Oh,
And this is one of the books that I'm putting in. This is my book, Four Good Days. It's for children.
put it in front of the camera. Let me see it.
It's called Four Good Days. It's
Oh, this,
available on Amazon. It's a journal for children. It teaches your kids how to chronically journal the good days and the bad days,
oh,
so
that's
that when you're going through tough times, you know how to pull your own self into resiliency and know that this too
good.
shall pass. So that's one of my favorite books that I have. And then my other book is He's Not Lost, and it talks about the stages of grief. And you can
Oh,
join us and
good.
donate to us. We are actually we celebrated our third year operating as a nonprofit on November 12th, which happens to be my birthday. So if y'all want to donate, y'all can go to nanresourcectr.org and join us, volunteer for us, because we're always looking for mentors, sponsors, and everything. We're a grief community for children of Black
That
and
is so
brown
awesome.
people.
When you need help, let me know. I'll fly up.
Definitely.
And
But
send me the links for your books, please.
definitely, okay, definitely will. They're available on Amazon under Deborah Ann Henderson.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Thanks, cuz.
I'll see you in no, we won't see each other because it's Thanksgiving.
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 So then
But
2 weeks
that's
after that.
2 weeks after that, December, and we'll be talking about another great topic. We probably
Yes.
should pick up on that daggone
Blame.
blame game. Love you.
I love you too, cuz.
Enjoy your be safe coming back home.
Thanks. I appreciate that. Good night,
Good
ladies.
night,
Thanks for
ladies.
joining us.
Bye, and gentlemen.
Bye.
See you, cuz.